to Your Hour. Joining me now is Jamie Whitfield, and she is from Recovery Matters. So go on to her YouTube page and like it and subscribe. That's always nice because you get a lot of really good information. As far as the recovery community goes, a lot of people really glean a lot of information out of your YouTube videos, and
Right.
I really appreciate the fact that you're willing to air those.
Right. Well, I appreciate the fact that you allow me to be able to air those by being on here.
Oh, I didn't adjust your camera.
Yeah, I'm a shorty.
I know. So, what were you going to talk to us about today?
Well, I just thought it would be appropriate to talk about, I just picked a few, the 5 life skills that we tend to lose when we're active in our addiction that we have to basically relearn.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first one would be like the independent living part.
Yeah.
You know, when we're active in our addiction, we don't pay bills. I remember at one point, I was homeless, living in a car. You know, we don't know that financial responsibilities of paying bills anymore. We lose that when we're active in our addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, them are things that are important that as we're trying to work a program of recovery, to also gain them life skills back to be productive members of society.
Sure.
And so that would be number one, that independent living. And also that goes under there too is like personal hygiene, taking care of yourself. You know, them are things that kind of go out the window too with addiction because
You don't care.
No, you're just so worried about finding ways and means and different ways and money to get more and more of the drug that you're seeking. So, you know, taking care of yourself and having a suitable place to live and being independent just kind of, you know, you lose that, you know. And so when we get back and, you know, when we get clean and we're working a recovery program, them are some of the skills that we need to gain back. You know, some of us never lose them. You know, everybody's story is different. And sometimes people do lose them. So it's something that has to be relearned.
Yeah.
And so the other one is the control of the emotions. I thought that was a real good one.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, you know, we can't always, even though we want to, we can't control what happens to us.
Right.
But we can control how we respond to what happens to us.
Absolutely.
And that is a very good point that it had me saying, that is so true, because we can't control what happens. Now, what we have control over is what we do and how we respond to any situation. And so when we are active in our addiction, you know, we're trying to suppress emotions and feelings with our drugs, and it does never solve that problem. You know, for me, the void of losing my child and some other life events that had happened in my life, the problem was still present. I chose to use drugs to suppress it.
To mask it.
Yes, and so basically I put a Band-Aid on it. And so there was never a resolution in that situation or that problem, because as soon as I wasn't high, I was still feeling the same pain, you know.
Yeah.
So learning how to control your emotions and cope with them, I feel like is a life skill too that I've gained during this journey of recovery, but it was something in the beginning I didn't have it. And so it's not something that just happens overnight.
Right.
It's something, it's progress, not perfection. So we work at it, and we work on it daily. Even if you have 1 day clean or 20 years clean, you still work on coping skills and coping mechanisms and life skills. And then the other one is basically the coping mechanisms, how we cope with things. I know for me, what we knew how to do was coping with, you know, unwanted feelings we had was use drugs.
Right.
And so we have to find different ways to cope with things. And
Yeah, because that one isn't good.
no, that's not an option anymore. And so, you know, for me is having to find different things. Like for me, it's the support of the 12-step program that I choose. That gives me something to do, and it stays, keeps me grounded in my recovery. It's just new things and ways to cope with stressors. And for me, I have found that in the 12-step program. Also, doing yoga, exercising, taking care of yourself now, them are good, healthy coping mechanisms that, in my addiction, I didn't know what coping mechanisms were. I just knew how to use drugs, and that was how I coped. But there are different healthy ways to cope with things.
Yeah.
And so that's just to name a few. And then number 4 of the life skills that we have to kind of regain again is them social skills. Them go out the door. I have found myself isolating a lot and not being sociable. And then before you know it, when I look back, I never really had in my active addiction any true friends, because everybody wanted something from you, and that was to get high or whatever they wanted, their motives behind I'm your friend, but they weren't true friends. I guess they were friends in your addiction, but that wasn't a true friendship. And now in recovery though, the social skills for me, like sometimes I might lose my words or something, but I do know how to talk to people, and I do know how to, I find I'm attracted to people that are healthy now versus before. Before I was attracted to anyone that was the same level as me, and that was an addict, So now I'm attracted to people that are healthy minded. They don't have to be addicts. The attraction is different. Your social skills are different in recovery. And then finally, the last one is the communication skills have to come back, because even then in your addiction, you're just not a good communicator. You can't communicate. When you can't communicate and you can't listen, I just don't know what that leaves you. And because communication, part of communication is being a good listener too.
Right.
And so I know for me, I feel like my communication skills have enhanced in recovery. And I also am a listener. I do listen. When people tell me stuff, like I could almost repeat everything you said days later because I listen. And I'm more of an engaged listener now, because sometimes how you would listen to something and it goes in one ear and out the other, and you could never tell someone what they've said before. But I actually visualize it. I feel it. I feel like, and I owe that to having a cleared mind and a different sense about myself in recovery.
Yeah, the process of clearing your mind of the drugs really does make a difference in how you think.
Yes.
Yes, it just does.
Yes. And it's actually just, I just have to say this today. I am so blessed where I'm at today in my recovery, just being able to be me now, and it feels good to be able to give back to the community and people in need, and I feel good about everything I'm doing today.
Well, Jamie, I'm always blessed to have you here, so thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.